I have a friend that's been training to become a pilot for a while now,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're learning to be a pilot, in some cases, they put you in a flight simulator. Gets pretty close from what I've heard to actual simulation of a flight, what a flight would actually be like if you were in the cockpit. Do you think in the future there may be a kind of history simulation that could be used to train historians? Like being able to walk through a depiction of history that is meant to be as historically accurate as possible, not taking as many liberties for gameplay mechanics. It's a kind of an abstract question,
No,
but
no,
do
no.
you think that that could be a thing in the future?
It's not tangential at all. I think it gets to the heart of what I'm trying to talk about in this question of the player, which sometimes I try to think of as like the player trap or the problem of the player, but also it gets at what this course is about in a fundamental level. And so it's funny that you bring up the idea of a history simulator because that is the premise of Assassin's Creed, the entire series, which is based around not not you as the player actually being in the past, but you as the player controlling a virtual reality simulation of the past that is generated from DNA. And that when you play Ezio in Assassin's Creed 2 or Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins or whatever, you are a person in the modern day who is in like a capsule, like a fancy tanning bed, basically, with super technology that has reconstructed the past based on the DNA of these superhuman figures that in the assassin Templar conflict or whatever. So this has clearly been thought about as an idea and is already kind of at the heart of one of the biggest, if not the biggest, historical video game series out there. So it's a very relevant question. But in some ways, I think it's still not the right question because what I'm trying to get the students to think about is essentially that even if you had such a simulator, the question would be how who is deciding how that past is represented? What are the sources of knowledge that are being used to represent that past? What is being left in? What is being left out? Because short of some kind of cosmic, godlike ability to play back, to literally like replay everything that has ever happened exactly the way that it happened, you are always stuck in the problem of having to represent it. It can never be fully reconstructed. The past is only accessible to us as a set of representations, mediated through the forms of knowledge that we have that come from the past and the narratives and things that we tell ourselves about the past. I don't know what you would have to be able to do or what you would have to be able to invent or what kind of technological breakthrough there would have to be in order to ever escape the fundamental requirement of representation and all the authorial choices that come with that. Assassin's Creed tries to come up with one, which is through DNA, right? To root this in an objective truth that cannot be manipulated. I mean, that leads to all other kinds of questions about, I mean, on an ethical level about what does it mean to have the past somehow as a congenital reality that is passed through, hereditary material, etc. So, in other words, I don't think such a simulator can exist, or rather, how would it train historians? The historians would still be basically doing what they're already doing now, which is deciding what that representation of the past should be like based on the evidence that they have.